Okay, everybody, be shared. It's here. It's not here, but it is here. And be shared. I happen to know what be shared is. Do you know what be shared is out there? Okay, but Larry knows. Larry Goldsmith. Hi, Larry. How are you?
Hello there. How are you today?
I'm good. Larry's, but this is a heck of a title you have, or kind of work you're doing. And see if I understand the kind of work you're doing. Are you a forensic? First of all, that word, what the heck does that mean? Second, accountant? No, wait, do I have that wrong? And a lawyer? What do you do?
A lot of times I testify in court as to what's happening, as who's stealing, where the money went, how much damages were in a case.
Oh my God. And that makes you a forensic accountant?
Yes, sir.
Oh my God. All right. So you know the books.
Yes.
And you know if the books are a little awry or are not so good. All right. Well, I'd be interested to know why you did that. But in any case, you've written a book here called Be Shared. Well, what is Be Shared now? What does that mean?
It
What's that?
means it has two meanings as related to the story. One is soulmate, that Michael meets Shira, his soulmate. The second is fate, that they met, and it's fateful that they met because he was able to defend his father-in-law in a trial.
You know, I love this. I love what you did here. This is a serious book here. This is really a nice book. And it starts off with a nice story about people's reputation. And there's a rabbi in here. And the rabbi has somebody who's kind of jealous of him. And the rabbi says to the person that was jealous and said not nice things about him. And thusly, even his wife, which is really quite upsetting for anybody. And thusly, the rabbi ended up with the gentleman. Takes the well, you finish the story. What happened? The rabbi calls the gentleman to come over to whatever his house, and then what happens?
So the the congregant said lies about the rabbi, said very bad things, and he said, "Rabbi, I want to please forgive me." And he says and the rabbi says, "Come here, take this pillow, open it up, let the feathers fly all over the world, pick up every feather, because it's impossible." He says, "So are the lies that you told about me. They've now been scattered among people and gossip, and I will never be able to clear my reputation."
Now, that's a serious concern, no doubt about it, and a serious lesson to teach somebody. And it's a reality. I agree. Did you build this book around that kind of thought process? Because you have a picture here of an American flag, you have a picture here of a Russian flag, and you have the famous legal scale. Okay, put a little here, you put a little there. It won't become even unless you kind of make it even. What's the
So
book?
what ends up happening is that there's a courtroom drama, and the Nixon administration didn't want there to be, they wanted to have free trade with the Soviet Union. If you remember Scoop Jackson and Van Dyck, they had a bill to stop that unless Russia allowed freedom of religion and allowed people of Russian Orthodox, Jewish, whatever, to emigrate from their country without getting beat up or go to jail or wherever. So this rabbi goes out and he starts a movement to get the Jews and the Russian freedom all through the Soviet Union. And the Nixon administration tried to stop him by throwing him in jail
Why did they do that?
because they wanted this peace treaty to go through. There was a nuclear peace treaty and there was a side deal that in order for there to be the deal to go through, Nixon administration had to put a kibosh on all the protests against it in the United States.
This is a. It's not easy to run a country when you have countries. This is we're sort of, we're kind of peaceniks here, and we're sort of under this thing. This is from the moon. You paid for this picture. This is the moon, famous moon picture of Mother Earth with no boundaries and borders. and fakakta situations where we made these borders and now segregated each other and said, I'm one way, I'm an American, you're a Russian, and now let's and sometimes fight. And we're actually in a very serious scenario right now of concern.
Yes.
With on April 3rd or 4th, wherever we are right now today. And this ain't no April Fools. There's serious stuff right now in front of our nose. But let's get back to your book here. So because it's a love story, it's a political Yiddish Mishigash story of the way politics are run, you know, put a rabbi away so we can do something else, or, you know, a scapegoat, I don't know, whatever you want to call them. What's the emis here of the book?
So it starts out in the late 1960s, and as you read, it starts off in Woodstock. He meets a girl who's the youngest daughter of a Hasidic rabbi, forbidden to him, yet the two of them fall in love. And it's fateful that they fell in love because he was able to defend the rabbi in court, and millions of people's lives in the Soviet Union were going to depend upon this court case, as well as the rabbi's life.
Oh my God. You know, you're hitting a lot of buzzwords for Paulie here. As he comes out with a movie called Woodstock Forever, Peace, Love, and Hope, hopefully later this year, okay? I did the 20th anniversary of Woodstock.
I wonder how many of those guys are alive.
There's enough of us alive. Just put in Woodstock on Google, you'll see maybe close to 1 billion views, hits of stories about people that still care about the goodness. Well, there was two sides of Woodstock. There was the sex, drugs, and rock and roll side, and then there was the peace, love, and hope side. And so I'm under the peace, love, and hope side. I had Central Park even to do the 20th anniversary of Woodstock with 60,000 people, and I had PBS to broadcast it. But unfortunately, the sex, drugs, and rock and roll part outweighed it in corporate America. And they said, we're not going to get involved. But I'm still in the 20 years later now, still into the peace, love, and hope. Is your book a peace, love, and hope book?
I think it's a book of hope. It's a story of people who, once they achieve freedom, were able to achieve great things for them and their family. And it's a story. Michael and the rabbi are both very giving people who, throughout the book, try to help other people. And they look for good and ethics and what's morally right in the world.
What do you say as a takeaway for somebody after they read a book like this with the beautiful title of BASHERT? Meant to be is how I always call it.
I think there's a lot of life lessons in the book. It talks about family. It talks about that you have to listen to each other and try to put your feet in your partner's shoes to understand where they are in life.
I'm going to ask you one last question at this moment, and I enjoy speaking with you here. And I will say to you, you would have made, and you still could be, since we're still young guys, you would make a great rabbi because you have a sensitiveness towards humanity. And you would be, just from what the words you said, and the reason why you wrote that book. What is peace for you, Larry? What makes you peaceful? What's peace for you?
Writing.
Writing?
Writing.
Oh,
I get away from all the work, all the stress that I live with. And believe me, till 11 o'clock last night, I was doing tax returns. So I understand stress. And when I'm writing, it's like swimming in the water, and you just let your mind clear out, and you have nothing else in the worry to think about or worry about.
love it. Love it. Fantastic. 6,000 interviews, maybe 2,000. I've asked about what does peace mean to them. And I've interviewed 2,000 authors, and not one of those authors ever said writing. I guess why, maybe because your main job is a forensic accountant. And they're writers full time, their whole lives. That's interesting, huh? Sometimes what you do all the time is your biggest Yiddish, in other words, source or the biggest headache. Is that so?
Exactly.
I think that's true.
I agree with that.
Well, it's a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you for doing this with me. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Seriously. I enjoy this. Thanks.